Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the September 20 Council Process Committee to order. The first item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
Second.
Moved by Councillor Arneson, seconded by Councillor Whitmarsh. Any opposition? All in favor? Okay, so the only item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the amending the council procedure bylaw. Mr. Backen, do you have any background to add?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, Ms. Bauer will begin to take us through with a bit of a background as to how we got here and the implications of the change and a bit about the rocky process going forward that will require a bit of thought if we're going to meet certain deadlines. But over to Ms. Bauer.
Good morning. As you know, over the last some time, we've been dealing with provincial regulations that have allowed council meetings to be handled virtually. At this time, the provincial government has signaled that we are going to revert to previous rules as of the 28th of this month. With our current procedure bylaw, it does not allow for council members to attend remotely. The bylaw that you've got drafted before you would allow council members to attend remotely, given some conditions. The challenge we have is with going into the next set of meetings, this bylaw, should it go forward to the evening meeting or the afternoon meeting, would need to be advertised twice. So we would not be able to move forward until the 1st of October, after the advertisement's been shown twice. So should council wish to have this enacted prior to the next scheduled council meeting, regular meeting, on October 4th, council would be able to call a meeting to have final reading on the bylaw following the October 1st date. The alternative would be that we would, on October 4th, have all council members present in the presentation theater. That is a purview of council. If you wish to come back at this time and have everyone always present, we can dispense with this and just go back to the procedure bylaw as it stands, but we wanted to supply council with a potential other option.
I have a question. I have a question.
Oh, yep. Mayor Froese?
Okay, thank you. So we could meet like we're doing today for a real short meeting at say 11 o'clock or so on the 4th. Special meeting spread out in the chambers for those who would feel more comfortable. Pass that, and then when we get back to the regular meeting, we've got the bylaw in place to carry on business in the same manner as we're doing today. Is that correct? If we were to do that?
That is correct. We would have to have the meeting at 11. We would need a quorum, so we would need 5 councillors here, as that's the only way we can have a meeting at that point. And then once, if adopted, the councillors would not all have to be in chambers in the afternoon for the 1 o'clock meeting.
Okay. So even with the group that we have today, we have quorum. So if that was the only thing, and we're confirmed that the only thing on the agenda, the only discussion would be that readings of those bylaws after today's discussion, then not everybody would even have to come for that meeting, as long as you knew that there'd be enough people here for quorum. We could do it, we can get it passed, and then members of council can continue on like they are today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that helps clarify that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I believe Councillor Ferguson would be next.
Okay, my mic is on. Very good, thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I also, the mayor asked half of the question. The other half is the ministerial order, the M192. First question, do you anticipate the ministry making any changes to their orders? Was the first question.
No, I actually don't anticipate the ministry making any changes. What they've done has signaled that it is up to councils to amend their procedure bylaw. They did give us warning, and I believe what they're going to do is expect that should councils wish to change things, that they go forward and change them at this time.
Okay, and so we'll just go through the housekeeping of this. And obviously, it's important, that's why we're doing this, that we actually pass this and proceed accordingly so that people can meet both in person and obviously through Zoom or through another mechanism. That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's just an update. Thank you.
Councillor Arneson?
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. I did have a question, and it's not having to do with this timeline per se, but it's more having to do with the nature of what it is, the intention of this bylaw. So I've been aware that some communities, further to allowing people to come to through virtual meetings, have made restrictions on how many of those that they could do per year. So the reverse of that was mandating perhaps 2 times a year that you would have to actually be in personal attendance. So I don't know if we have any kind of policy around that, because I would like to know, for example, that there would be conditions under which people couldn't continue through fear of contagion or getting sick or whatever, be able to never come to a public meeting. So like a per annum minimum of personal attendance would be my thought.
The way the potential bylaw is currently drafted, it's more about the conditions that you may attend electronically. So in this case, there is illness, injury, or health concern, which I believe would cover this and future pandemic, should someone not want to come for that reason. If you are away for township business, so if you go to a conference or something like that, and the third condition, which has gone from my brain. Oh, and of course, or if there's a local, provincial, or federal state of emergency. So things like you're away for vacations or something like that, they wouldn't count as being reasons to be on electronic media.
Okay, well, I'll play the devil's advocate and say somebody may be for a year determined or concerned about the virus, for example, a COVID or another virus. Does that mean with the bylaw, as it would be currently written and understood, that they would be allowed never to come to a meeting for a year? All of the meetings could be in a virtual format.
At this time, yes. Council may make any amendment or any change to the bylaw before we bring it forward. This was just a starting place.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Whitmarsh?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I had some similar questions, Madam Chair, about this topic, and maybe just to staff on this. It does seem that there is a possibility that someone could decide that they have a health concern for a long period of time, and so that is I guess not satisfactory for me. Even though I recognize what we're trying to do is deal with those where someone is maybe ill or injured, and a possible issue like we have in the current pandemic. But, we're all anticipating and hoping that the pandemic will end and we'll be at a point where we can move back to face-to-face. I guess I'm also wondering, though, my question is, what would happen if we had if this procedure bylaw passes? What would happen if a member of council was on away? It wasn't one of these 3 reasons, but for something else, they decided that they would like to go virtually. So they are away, at the local cabin or something, and they decide they would like to go virtual. Does this mean they could not go virtual? That we would say, no, you don't fall into one of those 3 reasons, therefore you have to miss the meeting? Or would they still have the option of doing virtual even though it doesn't fit into one of these 3? Maybe that's just a question, what the intention is through you, Chair, to staff.
At this time, the intention would be that it would not be allowable to be on electronic means by that time. Part of the challenge with this is if people are, say, at the cabin, recognizing that sometimes Wi-Fi signals are not that great at the cabin, those are the ones where we would have the most difficulty just being in the meeting per se. Wi-Fi signals get dropped. So it was just a simpler way of simply saying that vacations and at the cabin and all those things would be considered vacation.
Okay, that's helpful. I'm wondering, just other thought, as I think about this, again, maybe as Councillor Arneson suggested, playing devil's advocate, I wonder if that we could put the word serious health concern, the word serious in front. I guess I just wouldn't want someone to say, well, I'm afraid I might get a cold by coming to council meeting, and I don't want to catch a cold, so I'd like to go virtual. I'm wondering if the word serious would be helpful. I recognize that even then we don't have a good definition of what that means, but at least it might help to clarify that this is a fairly significant health concern, like a pandemic, as opposed to, something else. Anyway, I'll leave it there. listen to what others might have to say.
Councillor Long? We can't hear you. Bob, Councillor Long, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Just wait 1 sec.
You just give us a moment. We're just having a technical.
Yeah, the virtual background is not allowing me to show my little note. Anyway, I was just going to ask about the.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we actually have got the sound up now. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fine. So I'll start over. Yeah. As deputy mayor a month or so ago, there was a meeting, a Zoom meeting with the Honorable Josie Osborne, who's the Minister for Municipal Affairs. So I think I mentioned this in July to council that she's doing exactly what Ms. Bowers said, that she encouraged all of us in that meeting, said, get your bylaws changed as soon as possible because, for this very reason. But she also specifically said, and I don't know if she's made it an order or it was just a suggestion at the meeting, that the public also be allowed to attend virtually, that she felt, the government felt that was a way to make it much more inclusive. So that would be my question. I know we're discussing how council would participate, but would the public through this amendment be allowed to participate by Zoom should they so desire? Did you hear that?
Yes. In way of explanation, it's a bit of a calendar juggle. The current order that allows electronic meetings expires on September 28th. The new, the enactment of the changes to the community charter do not come in force until September 29th. So we are unable to go forward and change anything like that with the new community charter until after the 29th of this month. The changes that are being proposed today are in line with the community charter as it stands today.
I'm not sure as I understand. Are you saying the community charter does not allow the public to attend a meeting virtually?
Not today. On the 29th, it will. They for some reason, when they went to enact it, they didn't enact it until after the state of emergency ended, the allowance under the state of emergency. That's the 28th. So the changes to the community charter aren't enacted until the 29th.
Okay, I think I understand that. So, and that also coincides with us enacting this change to the policy, that we would have to have that special meeting that Mayor Froese described. So will we be including the public is the question in the amendment that will come after October, whatever the date is?
Should council determine that they'd like to make the change to the procedure bylaw, I would definitely do those changes. These changes can be enacted at any time as they are concurrent with the current community charter.
I'm kind of confused. Sorry, maybe someone else can help here. Like I said, with the call that was with Josie Osborne, she said that the government wants to include virtual meetings for the public. So then if we were following those directives, which I don't know if you have it in writing somewhere, or maybe I didn't, this is what I heard at the meeting. I didn't record it or anything, but that's what she said. So are we going to follow that guidance from her, or should we check into that? Because if everybody else is allowing the public to attend virtually, then the township should do the same thing, I would imagine. And she cited not just the pandemic by any means. She cited the fact that it's all about public participation, and that through this experience, of the pandemic, it has opened up this avenue for the public to be more involved. So you have accessibility issues, distances, timing. You know how sometimes our meetings are late at night, and mothers, parents will come to the chamber with kids, and the meeting goes on. So by allowing the public to attend from home, this is the way she was coming at it, was that this is increasing public participation. It's something that we should be doing. So
I think the best way to just explain it is there's two different things going on. Currently, what we're doing is we are putting forward a bylaw to potentially allow council members to attend virtually. That is concurrent with the community charter as it stands today. The second part, which is the changing of the way in which the public can attend meetings, is unable to come into enactment until after September 29th, just due to the way that it was written. Council can choose at that time, the next meeting, to direct staff to go make a bylaw or begin a bylaw process for that change. Or I believe the last notice of motion was deferred to a CPC meeting for council.
Right.
So that is planned for October, at which time that can be discussed as well.
Okay, I understand now. So in other words, today we need to deal with what we can deal with. What I'm talking about with the public, that's something we should discuss potentially in October.
That's right.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. There we go.
You're on mute, Councillor Davis.
Councillor Davis?
Thank you. Testing. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Basically, that's why I had my hand up. I'm sorry. I wanted to. Maybe I'll just comment on the serious illness or injury that Councillor Whitmarsh had stated. I think that I think that brings some sort of I think that needs to be in there. If it's an illness like I could have a broken nail or whatever, I think, or if you feel you don't want to go because of COVID, then that's serious. So, but I have no problems with putting the word serious there, because that well, it's even in our it's in our bylaw. It says if you don't intend to if you get elected and you don't intend to take office, or even it's illegal. So you have to participate, but at what capacity? So being there, I think is operating in that capacity, but maybe next term things might change and COVID may stretch out. I look back in 11 years or 10 or 9 years we've been there. There's not been that many times when I said, well, it would have been nice to be able to phone in. But I think that I used to hate these meetings, but now I actually don't mind them. I like a meeting where we're all together, but if you look at even the last month with COVID coming back up, it's reinventing its threat again. And, I think maybe it's a good place not to go, maybe to be but council, we can get around that problem. But it's the public that we have issues with. I think that we're going to have a bigger issue with. Anyhow, just some comments. Thank you.
Councillor Arneson?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just a couple of comments to follow up on some of the other comments that have come forward at this time. I think for me at this time, I know what we're doing is time sensitive, but I really do think that we are eventually going to have some kind of policy discussion about this, because the norms that we're used to and have been established traditionally over time of in-person attendance, not only for ourselves, but in many other situations have changed. And I think that every body has to make certain determinations about what they're comfortable with. So further to the conversation, I think maybe something needs to be said in furtherance of the language around illness, to be something along the lines of a doctor's note or something like that. Like in employment situations, if you have an extended amount of time off, usually you have to come with a doctor's note to indicate that there is some reason for your absence. I don't want to get too far away from the norm that we've had that suggests that we should be meeting in person. I want to allow liberal access to be able for people to have virtually attendance in a meeting. But I also think that it's important to consider what some of those repercussions could be. The other thing is, and I know we look a lot about people's health and security and functionality with respect to liberalizing, I'll call it, this ability to meet in person. But I don't think we should just dismiss the fact that not everybody is really good at these kinds of meetings. And so for some people, and I'll say including myself, a Zoom meeting and attendance elsewhere is not preferable to meeting in person. I like the idea of a hybrid meeting, but some of us struggle more with a meeting where people are attending virtually just because of the technology. It does create challenges that I think are similar in some ways or on par to people who don't want to come for a variety of reasons due to illness and other things. So I think we have to find the right balance and compromise as we're going forward. So I look forward to more discussion about this. I'm happy to vote for this bylaw to allow this to continue under the circumstances. But I do think it needs to have more of a robust policy around it so that we can have a common understanding of really, what values we're bringing to this proposition and how we strike the compromise between people participating with valid reasons away from the meeting itself and those of us who might choose to prefer to be here in the public realm. Thank you.
So I'm just going to take an opportunity to say something myself. I'm mindful that teachers are back to work. We've got frontline workers that are facing COVID every single day. I think we're all double vaxxed and we're wearing masks, and personally think that we should kind of get on with this and, kind of deal with whatever comes. I understand that there might be some hesitancy, but we've got screens. I think for personally, we're in a good spot to continue on with these meetings. So those are my comments. Mayor Froese, and then I believe Steve Ferguson.
Great, thank you. So I've got a question. I'm looking at the procedure bylaw, section 519, 520, and 521, and it states in there that the mayor must attend all meetings, or the chair, I should say. So if the chair fell under one of these categories, how is that going to work? I think you have to change chairs. Like okay, so the mayor has whatever illness, serious illness that would fall under this qualification, or the pandemic is on the rise and everybody's staying remotely. Does the chair still have to attend, or does the chair fall under the procedure as all other members of council would?
Again, that is worded so that it is concurrent with the current legislation,
Okay.
the current community charter. There is a line in there that includes until such time as legislation is amended. On the 28th, the provincial government brings in the new version. We would not require the chair to be in the room. With the current community charter, you do have to have the chair and the corporate officer in the room.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, thanks for
Councillor-
that clarification. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Ferguson?
Thank you. Okay, yeah, very good. Yes, thank you. We basically struggling with something to do with electronic meetings. I understand all that, and the 3 points. The thing is, nowadays, I know things are changing, but if a person's not feeling well for whatever reason, there's different levels of not feeling well, of course. And now the doctor, even the doctor doesn't want you to go in if you're not feeling good. I actually had a one-to-one visit with my doctor on Monday, but they always check, if you're not feeling good, don't come to your doctor. And that goes with dentists and et cetera, different places. So I don't know what our enforcement would be if somebody just said, look, I'm not feeling very good, I'm not coming in today, I'm going virtual. I don't see that as being a problem. I think we're all responsible. And I work on the fact that, we don't want to be chasing people down. Sometimes it's a 4-year term too, and people for a number of reasons could be not attending. They might have to go visit a sick relative or miss a meeting and things like that in a 4-year term. It doesn't happen that much. It hasn't happened that much with me, but it can happen with some of the colleagues I've worked with in the past. So I think we have to always be cognizant of folks missing meetings and doing the best they can under the circumstances. Thank you.
Councillor Long?
Yeah, thanks very much. Just to pick up on that, having been on council, I can remember being at council meetings a number of times where I hate to miss a meeting, but I remember being pretty ill and grinning and bearing it. But that doesn't help the rest of the council, does it? If someone's not feeling well and said, well, I got to be at my meeting. So I remember having, a real bad cough on many occasions and that kind of thing. Once it was a real bad back. Now that's maybe not so contagious, but So there's reasons, and that's what it says here in 5.24. You know, it says illness, injury, and other health concerns. So I'm okay with that. But I have another couple of questions. One is that someone mentioned, actually the chair mentioned about being double vaxxed. So I don't want to, you know, of course we're in a public meeting and it's certainly not required, but I would like to make, you know, how do we, can we somehow apply that we are all double vaxxed? So this is awkward for me to say, but I mean, it's something you can't necessarily assume. So let's, aside from council and staff, which I would be concerned about, being in close proximity, you know, also members of the public. So I understand that the members of the public are not under any requirement to show the passport, which to me is odd, because if you're sitting in a council chamber for a meeting, that is a long exposure to not only our discussions, which can be tough on you, but also, you know, you're in the same room. And that coincides with my other concern is I don't know, I did ask staff early in the week if the ventilation has been looked at, because ventilation, I mean, this is an aerosol virus. I believe that since the beginning, and it's proven to be true now. So even though you've got those dividers there, if one of you was smoking a cigar, I bet you could smell it all in the entire room. So the air that we're exchanging in that room is critical to the safety of everybody. So maybe I've got too many questions all at once here, but I think the public needs to be showing that they're double vaxxed, as I think council and staff need to. So I'll just leave this as a statement, because I don't know if there can be an answer given in this public meeting, but I feel very strongly about that, and maybe we could find a way to determine that offline. But I also think that looking at the pictures, the fact there's a couple of us not there allows a bit more spacing. But I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith in those dividers, because it's the air in the room that we're breathing. So surely we could get a HVAC company to come in and maximize the ventilation in that room. You know me, I'm always the guy pushing all the buttons in there. So I think improving and doing everything we can to make sure that the ventilation is as efficient as possible would be very helpful to all our health. But in terms of the public being double vaxxed too, there's no mention in the new provincial orders that, I mean, you can't go to a restaurant, but you can come to a council meeting and not have to show that you've been vaxxed, because we get a lot of interesting people that come to meetings, and I would imagine those that perhaps don't believe in the vaccination could be in our audience quite easily. So that's not addressed in the bylaw.
Sorry,
I don't know how to,
Ms.
I don't know,
Bauer?
Madam Chair, how you're going to deal with this, but that's, I think, the good points that I'm bringing
I
up.
think I can add some information on it. The provincial government has deemed that attendance at local government activities, so such as getting a permit, coming to a council meeting, anything like that, coming into the building, is actually essential, and therefore it's double vaccination or any vaccination proof is not necessary. We cannot go any further than that. That's the direction we've been given. So anyone can come into the building and do their government business, and that's quite simple, actually. They've made it very simple for us. Based on that, we cannot ask staff or council members if they've been double vaccinated, as it's not required to come into our building. So there is no way to do that, as it would be considered an invasion of personal privacy. Going back to the discussion on illness, I took my guidance on the illness provision based on the community charter. In the section that allows council members to miss meetings, because we all know council members can miss 3 meetings before there's any repercussions, at the bottom of that it actually says unless illness or injury, and that's exactly where I've taken that from. The community charter does not require council members to get notes or prove that they're ill or injured. They leave it up to the individual. So if a council member says, I'm ill, I can't come in, much like Councillor Long said, some days you just don't feel good, and before, many of us came in sick. That, you know, if there was a council meeting, we were all here. Now we understand that that is not good for our neighbors or good for other people. So we understand that sometimes, yes, we're going to call in sick now. And that's, you know, if you can attend, we're well enough that you can come, but you realize that you don't want to give your neighbor a cough, then that is something that this bylaw would then allow. I think that was it.
Yeah, just about the ventilation, and I know I already got an answer by email, but I would like to encourage our engineering staff to have another look and to make sure that we've got the best, you know, ventilation happening, that everything's timed. I know sometimes that the heating is controlled by computer in another room or something. So Madam Chair or Mayor Froze, maybe that can be given to staff for some direction to at least convince me that that they've had that well checked over by and I know that I already spoke to staff. They said that it apparently does meet code, but I would like to have that double checked. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Froze?
Thanks. I would like to make a motion at this point that I move that the amending bylaw for council procedure bylaw 2016, number 5199, relating to electronic meetings be added to the September 20th, 2021 regular agenda under other business for first, second, and third reading, and that the council provides staff, that council direct staff to convene a meeting on October the 4th at 11:30 a.m. for final reading of the bylaw.
Seconded by Councillor Ferguson. I'd like to call a question. All in favor? Any opposed? No opposed. So,
As there's
okay,
no
any
other
other
items on the agenda,
business?
you may wish to
okay.
terminate.
So we need a motion to terminate.
Termination?
Seconded by Mayor Froze. All in favor? All right, this meeting is terminated.
So we're back on this link at 1 o'clock.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, everyone. I'll have a nice lunch.
Can we just leave it on here, Wendy, or if I
Yes, you
just-
can. You can leave it on.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Oh, I guess I gotta keep my mask on.
Just leave it.